Hello. As you know, for the past couple episodes, we've been covering drugs and homelessness, particularly focused on providing a historical analysis of how many of America's current open-air drug markets came to be. But what about the flip side of the coin? What doesn't get much coverage is places where all drugs, or even the consumption of alcohol, are outlawed, and prohibition is militantly enforced by a standing army of beach cops. Many of you, especially Philadelphians of Irish and Italian descent, may be aware of the gorgeous beach town of Ocean City, New Jersey, an all-American summer vacation town, which sports the #1 lowest crime rate in America. And it's been this way for over 100 years. Ocean City is the only town on the Jersey Shore that's refused to lift the ban on alcohol, even after Prohibition ended in 1933.
Wait, it's
so
banned?
directly after filming in Philadelphia, we decided to drive to Ocean City,
Wait,
aka
what?
Reverse Kensington, to do some interviews and figure out what it's like to exist in a space where everything is prohibited. I wasn't quite sure who to talk to, but my grandparents asked me if I could babysit my 3 little cousins, so I figured I'd start with them.
What do you guys want to do today?
Let's go to Hoy's.
Trampoline
Go to
park.
Hoy's.
What's Hoy's?
It's a toy store, idiot.
What do you guys want to buy there?
Idiot, that's aggressive.
I'm sorry.
How do you guys feel about Ocean City banning alcohol?
I mean, that's my favorite, so it's tough.
That's your favorite?
Do you guys feel like you're missing out on some of the nightlife, being that you can't go out to bars here and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just go.
Okay. So you guys have never drank before, right?
I drank.
I drank.
A Red Bull, I was drinking.
And I threw up that night.
You drank a Red Bull, Sean?
Yeah, once at my friend's house.
How'd it make you feel?
I don't know.
What the heck?
Like, this is the only town on the whole Jersey Shore where you can't go to a bar?
I'm peeing on that car.
What's up with that?
So we can get anything we want?
Yeah, whatever you want. Just don't get lost.
I'll take all these. Oh, can you give me AirPods?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, great.
Believe it or not. Are you actually?
Yeah, whatever you guys want to get.
Are you actually gonna get?
Ooh, I want
Yeah, whatever.
whatever I want.
Anything you want.
This is why you're my favorite cousin.
Thanks. Before we check out, though, I gotta do a monologue about Prohibition.
Yeah, and
Prohibition. In 1919, America made alcohol illegal nationwide.
I don't really care.
But why?
I don't care.
To be honest.
Let's go.
Okay. I don't even know what to get. All this stuff's for kids. I need a beer.
That's regulated, right?
I'm not getting a puzzle. I don't have that kind of attention
You don't
span.
like puzzles?
No.
Neither
I
do
don't have
I.
the time.
Yeah, he's famous, Stevie. Think better for him. Look at that receipt.
It's all worth it for family. You guys help me carry some of this stuff?
I got you.
Thank you guys so
This
much.
is like a
How's it
Mr.
going?
Beast video, but like the TMU version. $400.
After leaving Hoy's, I felt conflicted. On one hand, it was nice
This
to
is
treat
Bro
my
Beast
cousins
then.
to a fantastic afternoon. But on the other hand, they didn't know much
Mr.
about the
Cover.
history of Ocean City. Obviously. So I decided to drive to the boardwalk in the epicenter of town to start this report all over.
It's Ocean City, New Jersey, a coastal resort full of Philadelphia families, once called the happiest place in America. And I can be a personal
Mr.
witness.
Least.
I've been coming to Ocean City since the year I was born, and it's been the most fun I've ever had in my entire life. It's been freaking awesome.
No, but seriously, from the hermit crabs, to the caramel corn, to soft serve Core Brothers ice cream, which always has the right amount of jimmies,
To the amazing t-shirts they have for sale at a low price. Ocean City's the best. But now that I'm an adult looking back, you know what I realized? I've never ever seen anyone getting drunk in Ocean City in my entire life. And you know why?
this place was founded with one rule. You can't be drinking. To get a better understanding of why Ocean City enacted this prohibition policy, I decided to catch up with
isn't that
Ocean
good?
City town historian, Mr. Bill, to get some answers.
This is Ocean City, New Jersey, a historically dry town. It remains that way to this very day. The motto of the town, which was done in the early 1900s, is America's greatest Christian family resort. And the fact that they are dry gives it an atmosphere where families feel comfortable to come and vacation here.
To learn more about the history of Ocean City, New Jersey, I decided to go to Uncle Bill's Pancake House to meet up with my grandma, aka Mama, who's been taking me to Uncle Bill's since I was a little kid. She told me that Ocean City's roots as a dry town came as a result of rampant alcoholism in the 1800s, which inspired something called the Temperance movement, a coalition of Methodist women who encouraged people to drink less.
In the mid-1800s, drinking
There's a video without
seemed
degen
to
morons.
pick up
The
in
job I
this
actually skip
country.
this.
Alcohol was mass-produced, it was cheap, and it was getting stronger. And women didn't go into bars. So it was just the men who were doing this, and the women felt it was creating an atmosphere of domestic violence, of poverty, and death. So they banded together to really educate the country on the dangers of alcohol. This is pre-Alcoholics Anonymous. When women didn't vote, but the women were the driving force behind educating everybody of the dangers of alcohol. Yeah. I mean, they even took it further with that Carrie Nation and her hatchet. She used to go in and like knock down saloons and stuff.
Between 1900 and 1910, Carrie Nation is arrested more than 30 times. But it doesn't dissuade her from what she sees as a divine calling.
She would start chopping up bar rooms, chopping up the beer barrels.
And drugstores, because pharmacies would sell medications that were laced with alcohol. So it was almost like, I get my drink there, you know, I'm going to get my drink here. And suffragists would go in and hatchet up the bars.
The husbands must have been really pissed off.
I would think.
Just imagine, it's 1905 and you've been working your ass off all day at the shoe cobbler depot, paper mill, tire factory, just to finally unwind with the boys and knock back a couple cold ones at the local saloon. Seemingly from out of nowhere, your wife and all of your homies' wives kick open the doors, spaghetti western outlaw style, and rush into the bar like a SWAT team, all wielding hatchets and screaming at the top of their lungs. The terrified bartender, who's been indoctrinated by a rigid honor code, watches in disbelief as they all vault over the bar top and destroy his entire inventory, hatcheting dozens of whiskey bottles.
What is this guy doing here?
Fly around the room, and they shriek like a pack of wild hyenas.
The men just stood there by the side and just watched her, because it was considered ungentlemanly for them to fight back against a woman.
Once every last flask...
Ungentlemanly to fight the woman, and then they go home drunk, and then they fight him regardless, 1v1. Like, what the...
shot glass has been reduced to a pile of glass and rubble. Your wife approaches you and grabs you by the arm, leaving you with a final message. Get in the car. We're going to Ocean City. That was a reality in 1905.
Yeah. You would have thought that women would have gone for the vote first and then the power to change this, but when your family's being impacted, maybe that's not how you think. Let's just get this changed now. And this is my day-to-day living, because the family was dependent on the man's income. And if he's spending his income on alcohol and staying away from the family in bars, that's got to impact how that family develops and the examples that it set for the males in that family, that this was an okay behavior. And then that impacts the paycheck. And that
also, it's physically taxing really and mentally taxing too.
Things that you need: a roof over your head, food on your table, and here's a man who's had so much alcohol.
Guys, but imagine at the time if you didn't drink, the advantage that you had over everybody else, both physically and mentally. You could rise above way easier if you weren't a drunkard.
Not perform.
Upon further investigation, I was shocked. I had no idea how much people actually drank in the late 1800s. In 1830, the average 13-year-old American male drank 7.1 gallons of pure alcohol every year. That's about 5 beers a day on average. By 1910, that number actually dipped down dramatically to only 1.5 beers per day on average. Still, Congress felt that American society was being besieged by alcohol and the problems that came with it, such as family violence and saloon-based political corruption. Many of these congressmen's wives were members of the Women's Christian Temperance Union, the same one that founded Ocean City. And so in 1919, Congress passed the 18th Amendment with a 68% supermajority, and so Prohibition began. For 14 years, it was nearly impossible to get a beer, right? No, the market only went underground to speakeasies. It was a lucrative business that organized criminals quickly monopolized. Among the many gangsters that achieved legendary status in the speakeasy scene was Al Capone in Chicago, who is believed to have amassed a $100 million fortune just from bootlegging and running speakeasies. Here was his justification for doing what he did.
Chat, I didn't believe it. Chat, 100 mil, is that with inflation and adjustment or not? Guys, 100 mil at the time? Guys, this must be in the billions these days, no?
Prohibiting people from getting the things they wanted. I thought prohibition was an unjust law, and I still do.
Though Capone saw himself as a Robin Hood-style freedom fighter, he ruled the underworld with an iron fist. It was his men that were believed to be behind the bloody Valentine's Day massacre of 1929, in which 7 rival bootleggers were shot execution-style by men posing as police officers. Needless to say, from an organized crime perspective, Prohibition was a nightmare and essentially created the mafia as we know it today.
The word mafia, much like the word cartel, is almost synonymously associated with evil, but they both began as opportunistic groups of mostly immigrants who looked to America for a better life and found fortunes by supplying our insatiable demand for booze and drugs. Needless to say, Prohibition backfired.
Chat,
And
the
by
IRS
1930, Americans actually drank...
Chat, it doesn't matter what you who do you think is the boss. The IRS is always the final boss. Real
more
shit.
alcohol than they did
IRS
before it
is
was
the
outlawed.
final boss
Not
of
to
all
mention,
bosses.
the stock market crashed abruptly in 1929.
The Wall Street crash of 1929 was the trigger for economic collapse, and soon after, the Great Depression.
After the Great Depression, the American economy was in desperate need of a new source of income.
BZ,
And
tax
so,
the poor.
a man named Franklin D. Roosevelt entered the presidential race and promised that if he won, he would lift Prohibition forever.
I was joking.
And within his first 30 days in office, he fulfilled that election promise.
To the delight of drunkards across the country, President Roosevelt won the popular vote in every state except for Maine and Vermont. And on March 22nd,
Why? Guys, what's up with those states? Oh, because they're like Canadian, pretty much.
Except for Maine and Vermont. And on March 22nd, 1933,
Basic Canadians.
FDR signed the Beer and Wine Revenue Act, legalizing and federally taxing the sale of alcohol, but that shall not exceed a concentration of 3.5%.
Alcohol would generate a new source of income for the government after its 13-year absence.
A source of new revenue amounting.
Since 1933, American consumption of alcohol and the concentration
what
of
a
alcohol
weird
found in
take.
commonly sold alcoholic beverages has been on
People are gonna buy alcohol so we get more revenue, but they'll be less productive, so we're gonna make less money. Huh?
a steady increase. And the taxes placed on liquor, beer, and wine are one of the largest contributors to the U.S. government's federal revenue streams. It's estimated that in 2022,
If
revenue
people
from alcohol tax in
perform
the United States amounted to
less
10.2 billion U.S. dollars. And alcohol-related advertising has permeated all facets of society, from sports
all this
to
tax.
music.
Yeah, okay.
It's a rocket for the culture.
To higher education and beyond. Because we've spent quite a few of the past episodes discussing the adverse effects and deaths associated with drugs like fentanyl and tranq, I think it's important to mention that in 2023, alcohol killed more Americans than all illicit drugs combined. Last year alone, over 136,000 Americans died from alcohol-related deaths, whether it be physical poisoning, vehicular crashes, or something else. And more than 6% of American adults self-reported as alcoholics. In the state of Wisconsin, actually, it's reported that over 17% of adult males are alcoholics.
National statistics show that on average, Wisconsinites have 634 drinks per year. That's nearly 150 extra drinks than the national average.
It's safe to say that excessive alcohol use has taken a huge toll on our society and hurt our economy to the tune of billions, in terms of loss in workplace productivity, healthcare expenses, property damage, and of course, criminal justice expenses.
Dad!
Yet, we're programmed to treat binge drinking with a totally separate moral lens than, say, tranq injecting, which is strange because alcohol does far more collective damage. In fact, the moral compass is actually sort of reversed.
Yeah.
For example, oftentimes when you see someone die from an illicit drug
yeah,
like fentanyl,
true.
heroin, or
Okay,
cocaine, or something that's
whoa.
federally illegal, people often blame the
Whoa. Accessibility, guys, accessibility is a, he's right. Accessibility is a major, it's a major ignition for the problem, that it's so accessible, everybody can go anywhere and fucking drink, right? So the other things are like, make the other thing more accessible and more safe so people do it more. I mean, shit. Do you want other deaths to catch up, or do you want the whole thing to go down? I don't know what you want.
The user. Oh, you knew what you were getting into. You shouldn't
Do you
have
want
injected
other
or
drugs
smoked
to
that.
catch up the rates, or what? Like, what are we doing
Someone
here?
offered me these drugs, I tell them to take a hike.
However, when it's alcohol and someone dies from an accidental alcohol poisoning or something like that, the common response is, what a tragedy. That person drank way too much. Never do people really consider the person to be stupid or just weak-willed for trying alcohol. And you don't hear much discourse criticizing alcohol as a substance or calling for the government to intervene and stop the flow of alcohol into the United States. Maybe because we all know it would...
Okay. Listen. Guys, what state is this? Guys, what are these states now? What is this? What is guys? Again, guys, I hate to say, chat, a big reason, boredom. what is there to do in those states? Not a lot of things, man. People get fucked up. Bro, they're bored as shit. There's nothing to do, man. I want to tell you.
Be useless. Our collective experience during Prohibition has left Americans with an implicit understanding that Prohibition does nothing to stop Americans' desire to drink alcohol. And so in contemporary conversations surrounding alcohol abuse, you don't ever hear people blaming individual cogs in the supply chain, like the cashier that works at the liquor store, or the United States federal government for incentivizing the advertisement of alcohol products to collect tax revenue, as being the cause of alcohol abuse. Perhaps we are indoctrinated consumers, or maybe we've learned over time that alcohol just isn't as harmful to the average person as, say, heroin or cocaine. I don't have the answers, but I do have a lot of questions. And to be clear, I'm not advocating for the prohibition of alcohol. I just think it's interesting to examine the societal biases that we have toward drugs that are taxed.
Guys, it's a much more complicated, multi-layered problem that is ingrained in society that you cannot just say, oh, this or that. It has a multitude of cultural and societary norms, things into it, and on top of which there is very safe, quote, harmless consumption of that alcohol.
Regulated and promoted by corporations versus drugs that are federally illegal and sold on the black market. Anyways, with all this in mind, I think it's great that places like Ocean City...
Guys, because you're missing the point. Listen, it's just about harm rate. Like, let's say you have a scale, right? And the top of the scale over here, right? This is you dead, right? Dude, a glass of wine, or whatever, right, is like here. You would expect your people to like be around reasonable enough as an adult to do like this, that, or this, or this, or this, or that. But people, I mean, some busters will do this. The problem with other drugs, right, is that you have your skill over here, and to get, this is also dead, okay? To get a buzz or a high, brother, you're jumping in increments of like fucking, oh, to get a buzz out of it is like here, bro. You're close, you know? It's just kind of how it is. I want to tell you. That's just what it is.
City exists because nothing, and I mean nothing, is better than family.
That's what it is.
I think it helps to promote it as a family town, and
bro, I'm not a doctor. That's just what it is. I don't want me to tell you.
It's been that way since the town was established. So there have been referendums to try to make it not a dry town, but they're usually overwhelmingly defeated.
I voted against it.
Ocean City resident Bob Hutchinson thinks an ordinance permitting BYOB service in Ocean City restaurants will ruin the town.
I last pause. Guys. Let's say people that they did like painkillers, dude. They take one painkiller, 1.5, whatever. Okay, cool. That's how much it takes for them to get a buzz out of it. Bro, you take 3 or 4, there's a chance you're gonna die, dude. Depending on what you're taking, that's just what it is.
There's this town called Jersey Shore.
The alcohol skill is much higher.
And I don't want
this chat, dude.
here.
Oh, this chat.
Where's the bitch? Let's go. She's being a nuisance.
People like the consistency of knowing that it's dry when they get there.
When did you first come to Ocean City?
I've been coming here, I lived here as a child. I went to elementary school and then moved away and have come back 50 years with the family. So that they know no matter where they are, whether it's Seattle or California or Miami, they come to Ocean City for 1 week in the summer and we all get together. And now it's 2 weeks and this year was a month.
How do you think that the town would look different if there was like bars and taverns?
I can't even picture it. It hasn't been that way ever. It would be, and it's not that you can't get a drink. I mean, you can leave the island and go anywhere you want and still get the seashore atmosphere, but I can't picture the town with bars or too many years of coming here the same.
Mama mentioned that off the island.
Alright, guys, I got linked to it at the same time, chat. They said code red, so you gotta log in.
It was a totally different world, and I knew from personal experience that she was right. The night before our breakfast at Uncle Bill's, I did some undercover research in nearby towns to see what the heck was going on. First, I began in Atlantic City, only about 15 miles north of Ocean City. It was...
You cannot convince me, chat. Guys, Atlantic City for me is like the sunken. It's Atlantis.
So there. Not only were the casinos full of sad, hungry gamblers, but a homeless woman called me a honky.
My brain will never
my first time being called such a name.
It's the sunken
No,
city.
but in all seriousness, Atlantic City was a sprawling mess of decaying buildings, abandoned storefronts, liquor stores, sex shops, and bars. After Atlantic City, I went down to Sea Isle City to the south, to a bar called Shenanigans, and once again, pure and sheer degenerates. 20-year-old Americans with fake IDs, grinding, to the voice of Lil Yachty rapping the chorus to the song Broccoli, one of the worst songs ever created. And outside, I witnessed a fistfight between a pair of fathers and their sons.
That's content.
That's right, two dads fighting each other and their sons duking it out simultaneously.
You're not gonna say sorry.
I'm working security, I'm just making sure everything's good.
What is security guy thinking 4'3"?
It was horrifying. By the time I got back to Ocean City, I was so relieved. And for once I understood what the temperance movement was all about.
Yeah, I think it's simple. It's, they saw families destroyed or harmed through abuse of alcohol, and they wanted to create a system that
it wasn't
precluded that from occurring.
Still, I was conflicted. Sure, Ocean City is a peaceful and quiet family town, but everywhere you look, there's police officers, surveillance cameras, and the feds constantly breathing down your neck and checking your cup, smelling your cup to see what's in there. Is that freedom? I'm not sure, but one thing's for certain. As we learned in Ocean City, many Americans...
All right, chat, guys. Wait, chat, is it glitch or they lose prio?
live in a constant state of surveillance and online privacy infringement.
What the heck?
And to be frank, I'm sick of it. That's why I use NordVPN, a VPN service that allows me to surf the web a little bit more incognito without Big Brother breathing down my neck and trying to figure out my IP at channel 5. All right, chat, back to the beach. I started to wonder how dry Ocean City really was, and found a disturbing news article that cited 2022 data from the New Jersey Department of Public Health, suggesting that Ocean City, New Jersey was actually the most drunk town in the state.
Hold on. Guys, what happened?